Hello and welcome back to another issue of the Mortal Realms magazine. This time, issue number 16. As you can see on the cover, we've got some more Stormcast Eternals, who are our models this week. Okay, I think it's actually set down as reinforcements, which is fine. Never ever have too many models, never ever have too many options. So, there is our sprue, and as you can see, we have 5 models for us to build in this issue. We get 5 bases, which are all identical, and a little pack of dice, which are nice. Again, you can never have too many dice. So I hope you're all enjoying the series, guys. I'm gonna leave you now, jump up top, we'll have a look at this week's issue, and then, as usual, I'll build the models and finish with a showcase. So folks, let's take a look at issue number 16. Okay, so normal price $7.99. Warhammer Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms. We see our cover stars on the front, the 3 Sequitors and the 2 Castigators at the back. And then we see our bullet points. Sequitors and Castigators, discover the Celestial Vindicators and new rules to play through. Number 16. Let's open it and go through it without further ado. Okay, so right onto the contents page, guys. So the first section is about the Celestial Vindicators. And then we have part 2 of the Rise of the Wraiths, which is a Nighthaunt section. We have Fighting Fury with Fury, which is this week's battle report. And then we've just got our normal how to build, how to paint, and then our playthrough, which is Delving into Darkness. We introduce ranges for melee weapons and show you how to measure the distance between miniatures in the thick of combat. Okay, so as a few of you may recall, we've actually been introduced to ranges in shooting. So now obviously we're coming into melee, close combat, up close and personal. So those rules are going to be nice because we're just we're moving along and we're getting more of the game in there, folks. There's your editor's bit, and then we open up with the Stormhosts Celestial Vindicators. Okay, have a look at that, guys. That's what a Vindicator looks like. Okay, a little bit of bump, and then shows us down the Stormhost. Just saying, Warcry, we fight, we kill, we win, and they do. A little bit about Chambers of Renown, their specialities, their great heroes, and their famed Stormkeeps. Okay. Then we move on to the Heraldry, which are Prosecutor, Liberator, and Judicator Prime. And then it just tells us a little bit more about their Stormhost, their commanders, the Lord Celestat, Thostos, Bladestorm, his Sacred Sword, and a little bit of imagery of him there. Okay, moving on. We move on to the Nighthaunt section, which is Nighthaunt 4, for anybody keeping count on that one. And this is the Rise of the Wraiths, and it's part 2. It just shows us about some of the characters. Of interest, it's nice to see Manfred von Karstein there. Anybody who's got any kind of history with the old Warhammer Fantasy Battles and the Undead Armies will remember Manfred. He once led my Vampire Horde. So I have a little bit of, always nice to see him. Reminisce. Okay, so we carry on with that there, and again, guys, get the beautiful art there. You know, even if you didn't like the game, and I know a few of you have got no interest in playing it, but you know, I say it every week, or virtually every week. You know, the artwork for this magazine is just amazing. You can probably fall in love with the actual world just by looking at these magazines. Okay, and then we have our battle report. The Realms, Fighting Fury with Fury. At the height of the Realmgate Wars, the Celestial Vindicators assault the Eldritch Fortress in the ruins of the shattered city of Alexia. Okay, so we see a wee bit of that there. And then it carries on. This stuff is like invaluable just to, like, you know, to world build, really is. You know, just gives you, lets you get stuck straight in to all the big battles, all the history. Then we go on to one, this guy is a demon of Tzeentch. Tells us about him, and it tells us a little bit about the Eldritch Fortress. And then we go on to what I nicknamed the boring bits, okay? The how to build. So it just tells us obviously our Sequitors and our Castigators, a little bit about Clippers, and the now familiar diagrams, guys, how we build. These are really easy, to be honest. They are the easy build models that Games Workshop do. So they're extremely beginner friendly. They're normally about 4 or 5 pieces. Nice and simple to do. Okay, and then we just go on to the painting section and just tells us what paints we need, gather our models, and then we're just going over it, guys. Retributor armour, first coat, final coat, and then an inking of Rakeland Flesh Shade. And you all know what that does that by now. Just goes into those little recesses and shows you the details. Then we dry brush in silver just to bring the highlights of the gold edges up. A little bit of Corax white, a little bit of Cantor blue, and then it goes on to showing us what we do with the Abaddon black. Okay, so just paint onto like the gauntlets and around the crossbow and the weapon and stuff. Okay, and just how it's all going to look. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, it comes together nicely. And that's what your finished models up to now should look like. Give you a quick little run around there. The Celesta Ballista, which we had the other week, and its crew, and obviously our Castigators and our Sequitors. And then we come into this week's battle report, delving into the darkness. So we meet Azandria Azorbolt again. So she makes her way into a dark tomb, apparently that glows with arcane power. In the depths of an abandoned mausoleum lies a magical weapon steeped in death magic. The geists that are within will not let her retrieve it without a fight, however. No surprise there. There's Zandria. And this just shows us our basic setup. So we've got Zandria at the bottom, and she faces off against our favourite, the Briar Queen, and her thorns. Okay, shows us where we put our models. And then it just tells us what we need, our dice and stuff like that. The scouring, which is a little bit of bumf, which I'm not going to read through to you guys. And all our relevant war scrolls, which shows all our information that we need to hit, to move and stuff. Okay, and then we go back over reference sheets, reminds us of what a modelized view is, how to make an attack and all the good stuff, remind us about rend and stuff like that if you remember what rend was from the other week. Just takes us through a turn, the Stormcast, explaining all the new rules. And then it's, let's have a look. Yeah, there we go. That was the part that's showing us the how to check your range. Okay, so your range is obviously for you to move in to a fight, or more importantly, the range of your weapon. You know, a tactic could be like, I could move in, I could have a bigger range on my weapon than you have, so I'll move into just enough space where I can hit you with my weapon and you can't hit me back. It's a naughty tactic, but trust me, when you get into tournaments and things like that in serious play, people do use it. Okay, battle continues. It basically just tells us it's the player who has the models left. It's another one to wipe the other force off the battlefield ones. Okay, finish off with a couple more war scrolls, and these are really nice. They're cutouts. They're in like blood drops, and they represent wounds. So you see -1, 2, 3, 4, like that. And what they're basically used for is if your characters have more than one wound, they're little reminders. You know, if they get hit and they lose 2 wounds, just helps remind you guys. And a couple of like little range, well, they're not actually range rulers, more like range finders. And what they're used for is having a look here, see, to keep your distance, to work out your charge moves and your weapon ranges. And trust me, this one is the most important. Okay, so that's a really nice issue overall, folks. And then coming into issue 17, we have the Dread Scythe Harridans. Okay, so they're more of the Nighthorn forces. So yeah, there we go, guys. I hope you enjoyed that little run through of the magazine. All that's left to do now is go away, build these models, and I'll come back and show you them all complete. Okay, folks, let's finish up. So here we have the first of our Sequitors. We can see he's standing there with his weapon raised high above his head, intent on the enemy. He's got his shield up there, ready to strike. And by now it's just the usual fantastic detail in these models, all the little ribbons off them and stuff like that, the shoulder pads, the cloaks and all that sort of stuff. So he is number 1 of our models this week. We have number 2, who I think is a prime because he's got, sorry, prime like a commander, because he's got like the bigger, it's like a staff weapon he has. Okay, so you find that the primes, the commanders have more wounds. That's what the difference is basically, and you have a couple more little kind of powers. If you think of them like sergeants, really, you know. So there's our second one there, and our third one, where he's just got his weapon pulled back in a full striking pose, hiding behind the shield. We have a little bit of scenery, a little bit of detail on the base there, which is nice. And again, just a typical combat pose with all the little things hanging off the belts and stuff like that. So, you know, once you go in with that ink, then, you know, that's really going to pick that up. Okay, so that is the last of the Sequitors. And then just going into the Castigators. These are our range guys. So I can see they've got the big, I call them crossbows. There is like a technical term for them, you know. I just don't remember it right now at the time of filming. Okay, so I'll say, just think about these guys. You got ranged and you have melee. Okay, so here's the first one of them. Again, you see that little like chip on the shoulder pad there, but I'll just fill that in, a little bit of blue tack and go over it. Nice detail on the back of the capes, and again on the shoulder pads there, a little lightning and hammers. Detail on the back of the helmets with little halos. So there is Castigator number 1. And Castigator number 2, his teammate, he's got the more head-on kind of pose. He's sort of like facing straight out. Okay, so there he is again. Pretty side-on kind of poses, these guys. With, again, all the details on the little chains and stuff like that. The big gauntlets. Nice detail on the crossbow there for you to see. Again, let your ink get into that. You have some real fun. And just turn them around now. So you can see the crossbow from the other side. And the rest of the model. Okay folks, so there we go. That puts another issue to bed. So upwards and onwards folks, on to issue number 18 next week, which has our Nighthaunt models. Okay, so if you're new here, please like, comment, subscribe and share the video, and please check out the other previous entries in this series. For you returning guys, I hope you've all enjoyed this one as well, and I'll see you next week.